Just a very, very light rub. Just so I can barely make up the charcoal. We'll give it a bit of an outline. Not going to wash it in. Just gonna outline a couple of important things. I like that. Whoops. Easy. I like that. Do I want to do that? Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. That's enough. So for years, I used this knife. I don't know the brand anymore. It's not marked anywhere. But the blade has become quite concave and the knife is becoming quite narrow, so it's quite worn out. But I love it. It's my favorite knife, or it was anyway. Very, very flexible. This is the knife that I use now. As you can see, it's straighter, newer, and far less flexible. Because I'm doing such a small panel, I'm just going to use this knife, which is marginally smaller. When it was new, it was still not quite as large as this one, but it's worn down quite a bit. Anyway, I'll use the old guy. Gonna be another one of those fast and loose jobs here. I'm not worrying about detail too much. Excuse me. Now, when I go into something like this, I'm almost counting on making a mess of things. See, I've gone straight cad red, and straight cad red, yeah, it's going to be garish if I do that. It's going to be gaudy. You almost need to come in with a strong reddish purple before you go to straight cad red, otherwise it doesn't have a three-dimensional appearance to it. It just tends to look very flat. I'm already tightening up. Don't want to do that. Don't want to do that. Let's call this one an exercise too. Exercises are fun. Okay. Everything's kind of muted, which is really kind of what I want. It's going to look like a muddy mess. A muddy mess. A muddy mess? How about if we try that? First we'll try the muddy mess. The muddy mess. And then we'll go for something that's a little more organized. Mostly this will be, as you can see, low chroma. I'm covering the tint of the panel, but the whole thing has a bit of visual texture to it now, which I kind of like. Okay. Let's see if we can do some greenery here. Using a knife on a smooth wooden panel is a bit of a nuisance too. Certainly something small like this. Good luck controlling things. You tend to slip around quite a bit. Which you know, it gives it a certain look, which is fine if that's what you're after. And seeing as it's very difficult not to give it that look, let's just pretend that's what we're after. Okay, I'm going to obliterate these trunks a little bit here. Obliterate them. Now, let's pretend that we know what we're doing with a couple of rocks. There's a few rocks that are forming our shoreline. See if I can make that look like I know what I'm doing. Because the knife edge is no longer flat or straight, it's kind of difficult to lay paint on uniformly. That's fine. We'll just work with it. And complain bitterly, just for the fun of it. Boy, I may have to resort to my other knife. I'm really having a hard time controlling this little concave edged blade. That'll show up here. I'm going to try to lay in some trunk. Okay, I don't want dark lines on my trunk there at all. Yeah, you know, the larger knife is much harder to manipulate. I think I'm gonna switch back to it. I'll just reserve this knife for doing some smaller details on larger canvases. Because the edge is shot, and I'm not gonna... I've reground the edge several times, and eventually the entire blade becomes so thin it's almost pointless to continue. So we'll give the pal a little wipe here. I'm gonna have a think about this. I'll get back to you right away. Yeah, I'm liking the feel of this in my hand better already. Oops, I need a little bit of my highly specialized paper towel for painting. There we go. Or for painting, for wiping up, for cleaning. Okay. Some kind of green. A little bit of what is this? Ultramarine blue. Yellow ochre. You know, normally working back to front is my game. Oh, and I'll just keep doing it that way. Okay. Just going to throw a little more intense color in. I'm going to be pretty selective about it. Now I'm just putting little shots of Cad Red medium in there. Little dapples of it here and there. And while I'm at it, I may as well show a little bit of it there. I don't want too much. I don't want to draw too much attention to the water. Okay, I'll wipe that Cad Red off my cad red off my mixing area. We'll go to some yellow ochre, just straight yellow ochre. Seeing as the entire panel is already covered with paint, if I use straight yellow ochre and throw it in there, and even go over it once, suddenly it begins to blend with the paint that's on there, so it keeps the strokes looking somewhat rich anyways. This isn't, I think, going to be a painting with a lot of bright color on it. It's going to be sort of darkish and rich, or at least so I'm claiming. It's one of those things where, yeah, it's my story and I'm sticking to it for the moment. However, I can tell that I'm already beginning to use the little strokes. I don't want to use the little strokes. I want to use the big strokes. Or at least bigger. That wasn't a good spot for that. I'm not worrying about putting, exactly the spots in a reflection below where they appear in the scene itself. Just general is enough for me. Okay. Light's coming from the left. So I do want to start my indications of shadow. I'm not even sure I'm going to put a whole lot more color up top. I may just break it with some sky poking through and maybe the indication of a bit of the odd trunk in the background. But for the moment, I'm going to leave it. I almost feel guilty because if that's how it works out, then it's gone more quickly than I expected. Actually, much more quickly than I expected. Okay. Bit of sunshine catching that. Some middle values of that green. One shot of it up here too, I think, actually. One shot. Okay, two shots. Okay, three shots. All right. Now for the light catching these two trunks. Yeah, I'm going to go right down to More light. More light. Okay. Be really brave. I'm going to put some almost pure ultramarine on the shady side of that one. Now I'm going to clean off my palette again. I waste a lot of paint because every time I mix a pile, if I'm done with it for the moment, I'll just get rid of it. I'm not organized enough to have a large mixing area. It's something that I've always thought I should work on, but somehow I really like to just focus on one thing at a time. So although, you know, that may serve to waste some paint, it certainly also serves to keep my colors raw. And I really want my colors to be raw. I'm going to put a little more shadow under there. That didn't work out very well. I don't want it to appear as 5 different strokes. I just want it to appear as minimal as possible. So now I do have to go in and fiddle a little bit in order to make it look like I haven't fiddled so much. And that's just how it goes sometimes. Okay. It's almost as though I see little areas and I think, oh, that's not very well explained. This isn't very well explained. You know, and then you start obsessing and worrying about things that you really shouldn't worry about. And that's when you end up with a weak painting. And I think I've droned on enough about that before. Alright. I'm going down that rabbit hole already. But I have to admit, I don't like that little shot. I've got the same color in the tree trunk as I do right there. And I don't want that. So I can pick some up from another area in the painting and make a cleaner line. Now it's a cube. Now it's less of a cube. Okay. Forget about it. Now I'll just really catch some light. Here. And here and kind of, I As you can see, I'm kind of shaky this morning. That doesn't work in my favor. Okay. That'll do. Whoops. I'm forgetting to repeat some of my colors in the foreground here. Okay. It's a bit of a reflection of the trees above it. That's enough. Am I going to bother with that? No, I'm not. That wouldn't be in there even naturally. But what I will do is show that going down. That's all. I'm not going to copy it exactly. And I will show just a hint of that going down, reflecting in the water. Okay. Clean off my little bits of paint left over on the palette. I hope I'm recording this. Yes, I am. Good. Okay, now these rocks. We'll get into the raw umber here a little bit. And I think I'm going to use a little bit of burnt sienna as well. And mix a little yellow ochre into that. And a very small hint of ultramarine blue. Don't want to overmix this stuff. Okay, that's too brown. Scrape it off the palette, get rid of it. Scrape it off the painting, get rid of it. Or get rid of most of it anyway. Okay, back to my raw umber. Get into the grays here. Raw umber, a bit of ultramarine blue and white. Leave the burnt sienna out of it. Okay, strong strokes, Phil. You don't have strong strokes, you have a weak painting. Simple as that. Of course, I go into my reflection and my strokes are stronger than in the actual object that it is reflecting, so that's pretty pathetic. not too bad. Now for some a little more intense light. Okay, it's not a little more intense. It's way more intense. Yellow, ochre, and white. And it's mixing down into the, into the raw umber and ultramarine blue base that I have already sitting here. So that gives it some strength. Okay, I'm gonna add just a hint of ultramarine blue to that. In that area, you would also see it you would also see that in the water. Don't like that. Don't like the way I did that. Okay. Oh, ultramarine blue and a bit of raw umber here. Just gonna stick a bit of that in the shadows. Some color variety. And where the water meets the rock, I'm probably going too light here. Yep. And I can't tell you how much that doesn't really bother me. Okay, let me get rid of that line. All right. I'm going back into my bush here a little bit. I'm going to clean it up. And you know, maybe that's all I'm going to clean up. Yeah, I want to bring those colors a little closer too. All right. Now, excuse me. I want a little bit of light poking through. I want. It's all me. Okay. Bit of sky. Just a bit of sky. And that's too light and it's overmixed. Okay. Now, I love doing a painting like this. In pretty short order, you actually have something on your hands. It's sort of lots of reward for minimal effort. Although, when you're using a knife, wow, is it ever possible to screw up? Using a knife or using a brush, you can screw up, but your screw ups are usually a little smaller. Using a knife, you make a mistake, the mistakes are bigger. Come on, idiot. Okay. Playing. Playing is a waste of time. I'm just going to blur that line. Again, because I want to, and it's all about me. Alright, now, we're going to pretend, oh, I've run out of my high-tech toilet paper here. Again, I just used 2/3 of a roll. Now, they're just single rolls, but that shows you how, well no, there's double rolls actually. It just shows you how much I go through. Alright. I think that what I want, or what I would like, is, boy, another shot of light coming across there. You know, I think what I'll do is I'll have this water, you know, we have sky above us, so I may just have a shot of that light from the sky above us catching that water. That would be a good way of breaking up this bottom area and keeping things loose. What shall I do here? Okay. was kind of an insipid, weak stroke for this painting. Let's just get on with the business of doing it. Win, lose, or draw, just do it. Of course, I'm making the mistake of going right across the entire foreground. Okay, yeah. I don't know. I think it's possible that you're yelling at me through the computer screen right now. I wouldn't blame you, but I think I'm going to commit to this. And I'm simply going to blend what I have here into the foreground. And leave it. Okay. Probably kind of a long video, but so far I really like it. So far I quite like it. Anyway, I'll talk to you about it in a bit. Well, I'll go through the colors, I guess, with you right now. I may still just hint at the odd tree trunk in the background. You know, some sort of, there's a line there, a bit of one and one there. Yeah, you know, you could think of that as those as trunks, but I don't want to clutter the painting up either. It's a very small painting. It's 6 by 8, or now it's actually 8 by 6. But so I started here with a combination. You know, when I was going over the entire painting, I started with a combination of yellow ochre, cobalt blue, alizarin crimson in varying degrees, and a bit of white. That was up here, mostly down here as well. When I came lower, I went more alizarin crimson and yellow ochre, and actually a little bit of cad red medium and yellow ochre. I started off with too much cad red medium, and I needed to get rid of that, so I did that, and I've just left a few shots of it in there now. Tree trunk, variations of yellow ochre, white, and ultramarine blue. This tree trunk, bit of raw umber, burnt sienna, and white. Got rid of the raw umber where I wanted to highlight, you know, where the sunny side is. These bits of foliage, ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, a little bit of yellow ochre, just a bit. And then I just added white to that combination where I wanted to have a little bit of light showing, catching them. The rock, raw umber, ultramarine blue, bit of cobalt blue, titanium white, and then where I've put light on it, like here we have a bit of more raw umber and ultramarine blue and white, and here we have almost straight yellow. Here we have almost straight yellow ochre, titanium white, laid right over and into the rock. And then I've put in some shots of, this is cobalt blue, ultramarine blue, and white, bit of alizarin crimson, And same thing down here, you know. Again, those three colors in varying degrees went in pretty strong. I like it. I just like the way it turned out. Again, it was a painting that I was very willing to fail with. And personally, if I'm unwilling to fail on a painting, certainly on a small one where I don't do a lot of planning, the odds are the win, if I do win it, won't be as great. You got to be willing to just go for it. Your strokes are stronger. You know, your composition's more daring. Yeah. Anyway, I'll probably upload this tomorrow. Tonight or tomorrow. Not tomorrow. Needs a signature and a couple of touches. Otherwise, I'm pretty happy with that. Okay. Have a good day. Have a good weekend. We'll talk to you next week. Bye.